The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh. Got my hustle on, no imitation of that. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throb in my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Earnestly Podcast, recording this on Thursday, November 13th, 2025, just around 1 o'clock p.m. for the Friday show. How are you guys doing? We have a lot to talk about today on the show. As we end our great week here on the podcast. As I bring up my screen here, I'm sorry, what's going on here? Everything's delaying here a little bit. I don't understand that. I don't know. A lot to get to today on the show. Another Stephen A. Smith feud, another one. Dude, this dude's fucking everybody now, apparently, and he's cutting back a lot of folks. We have another Chris Mad Dog Russo crash out. A Epstein files update. Some interesting stuff that's come out as of late. Epstein files. I have some thoughts about that. Adin Ross, a very famous streamer, has a lot of comments about Kendrick Lamar and his music. The end of 1 cent pennies. Yes, that is a thing. And of course, I want to give my thoughts also on Jameis Winston, who is starting for the New York Giants this weekend, as Jackson Dart is still on concussion protocol. But we get started, of course, subscribe to the podcast on any podcast catcher, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Pod, what's the Stitcher again? I never say Stitcher. Amazon Pod, all that good stuff. On YouTube, of course, at youtube.com/@Earnest Christian to find the video side of this. Clips of the show, of course, on TikTok at Earnestly Pod on TikTok as well. The first thing we'll touch on here first. Have you guys seen the new NBA All-Star Game format? They've once again tweaked it for this year. They are doing a shift now to a U.S. versus the world theme in a 3-team round-robin tournament. 3 teams, of course, 24 All-Stars will come divided into 3 teams. There'll be 2 U.S. teams comprised of American-born players, 1 world team comprised of international players. The total pool will include a minimum of 16 U.S. players and 8 world players. The 3 teams will compete in a tournament featuring a total of 4 12-minute games. Each of the first 3 games will be 12 minutes long. Played in a round-robin style, Team A, Team B versus winner plays Team C, loser takes Team C. The top 2 teams, based on record, with point differential as a tiebreaker, would advance to a finals game. While 24 players will still be selected from the traditional method, there is one major change. Voting players will be selected regardless of position, meaning the starting 5 will simply be the top 5 vote getters in each conference. This format changes an effort to increase competition and showcase the league's immense international talent pool. Now, look, I would rather the regular East-West thing and players take the shit seriously, but here's the reality of the situation. They're not going to do that, okay? These players use these All-Star games this a way for branding and have a good time and shoot up half-court shots. The years of us enjoying the NBA All-Star game as what it was in yesteryear is gone. We have to accept that. I will say I have a lot of criticism of Adam Silver for 30 years, but I'll give this guy this much. He is trying new things. He has tried every which way to tweak this All-Star game. Here's the deal. I haven't watched the NBA All-Star game in a number of years. I think the last time I watched the NBA All-Star game and from start to finish was probably 2012, 2013. Okay? And a lot of it's because of the fact that while I love the NBA, these players don't take it seriously. You know what I mean? And I mean, this is a weird generation, where I come from a generation of players that took these things seriously because they cared about the paying customer. These players, not so much. The same thing with the bullshit with the low management thing. Same thing. The low management thing has been an issue here. And once again, you see that issue play out This last night, I'm watching the Heat game, and they're playing the Cavs again not on a back-to-back, but the second game against Miami in 3 nights, and they're benching all their starters or some of the stars because they're resting. What in the fuck are you resting for? What are you resting for? The season just started, okay? And then you wonder why ratings are low, and you wonder why people pick and prod at the NBA, because these players don't take this seriously, okay? And the fans know it. The fans know it, and they're responding and such, okay? Why would I take my wife, my kids to spend minimum $500 to go to a game, okay? And I know, and I'm going to go to a game to see, let's say I go to a Cavs game. And I'm a Heat fan, yes, but I also want to see, Donovan Mitchell play, and I want to see, Eric Mobley play, and they don't play not because they're hurt, but because they're resting. What in the hell are you resting for at this point in the year? Okay, you're at 10 games in the year. There's nothing to rest. Get your ass and play on the court. And again, I hate this crap because I am someone for years that has defended the NBA, through the years with player empowerment and all this stuff, and they're always on the right side of, for the most part, on political issues. But my God, play basketball. You get paid a lot of money to play basketball. Okay, that's your job, to play basketball. Okay, you get paid millions upon millions of dollars that we have to invest to also too. Now, look, I'll say this much: we have invested to, we have a choice to pull back, and people are starting to respond now. So I guarantee you, the next CBA at this point, there'll be some major changes to that CBA because fans are getting pissed off with this crap. All-Star game, I'll give you this much: they're trying new things here. They're trying things here. Will this get players to want to be competitive? Maybe, because, the international is the world thing. Because I don't think these U.S. players want to be embarrassed by players from the international side. Here's the reality situation, though. Right now, there's an argument that the 5 best players in the NBA right now currently are all international born. We're talking about Luka, in order, Luka, Jokic, SGA. Yes, SGA is from Canada, not American, Canada. Wemby is in top 5 now for me, okay? And then the other guy I would consider who I'm missing, Giannis from Greece. So there's an argument right now that the top 5 guys in the NBA right now are all internationally born. So add to the fact that a lot of the American players now who are considered top 10 players, Jason Tatum's out, Halliburton's out for the year. So there's a real case that the international players may actually win this year. Just saying. There's a very good case for that. They said they felt the roster, obviously, but there's a real strong case for that. So, yeah. So I actually love this idea because it's something new. Try it out first. Now, if I'm the NBA, what I would get rid of right now is please get rid of the in-season tournament. Not because it's bad. It doesn't do anything. Okay, I understand why they're doing it, but for me, it doesn't do anything. Like, does it disrupt the year? No, it does not. But at the same time, it's just there. Just play your fucking 82 games and call it a day. Okay, just call it a day. That's simple. All right. Stephen A. Smith once again in another feud now. This time he's feuding with 2 women now. Michelle Beadle, of course, formerly ESPN, and Carrie Champion, also from ESPN. Let's start with Beadle first, okay? This feud with Beadle reignited when Michelle Beadle publicly criticized Stephen A. Smith's commercial partnership with a mobile gaming app, which is called Solitaire Cash, suggesting that he was demonstrating a lack of principles and praying for his downfall. Now, Beadle's disdain for Smith is long-standing, dating back to 2014, where she strongly objected to his controversial on-air commentary regarding domestic violence following the Ray Rice incident way back when. More recently, Beadle's SiriusXM time slot was taken over by Smith's new show, wow, adding to the professional tension. Now, Stephen Smith has responded. She sharply rebuked Beadle, claiming he barely knew her, had no personal professional relationship with her, and called her unimportant and a waste of his space. He also questioned her current career standing. There's some bad blood here. I'll be honest with you. I think there's a lot of jealousy here on Beadle's part. I'm not taking the side here. I'm not saying who's wrong here, but Stephen A. has never called her out ever. Okay, ever in the 10 years, and never called her out. It's been a one-sided feud until now. Until now, Michelle Beadle has been the one being critical of Stephen A. Smith for 10 years. Steven Smith finally clapped back at her. You know, I don't have any sides in this situation. I know how to feel about this situation. This is another feud that he's involved in. People are just feeling some kind of way about Stephen A. Smith. Now, Carrie and Champion weighed in on the feud. Now, she's also a former first co-host on the First Take with Stephen A. Smith. She entered the feud with an Instagram video backing Beatles' claims and supporting her perspective. Now, Champion questioned why Stephen A. Smith did not have the same smoke for Beetle as she had felt he had shown toward her and other women, representing the 2014 rape rights issue where Smith was suspended for his comments, while with Champion had also addressed on air at the time. Now, Stephen A. Smith expressed some shock and felt personally betrayed by Champion, claiming that he had shown her nothing but love and that she was hired at First Take in large part because of me, as he said. He accused her of being ashamed of herself for her comments, turning a personal critique of him into a public emotional clash. Okay? Now, the Champion thing also, there was something to be said about Stephen A. Smith, for example, and this is almost about racial things now, where, my bad, where Stephen A. has been very critical of very well-known black females, like Jasmine Crockett for once, now Carrie Champion, Jamel Hill. But when Michelle Beadle is here criticizing you, you have no smoke whatsoever. She has a great point there, okay? I don't know if it's on purpose or not. My thing is, if you're Carrie Champion and you had this really bother you, I would prefer you done this behind the scenes. If you have Steve A. Smith's ear, I guess, I don't know if you have his number or whatever, this would have been better handled behind the scenes, in my opinion, okay? You feel some kind of way, I get it, all right? But, this is something I wish would be behind the scenes. But, it's good for content, I get it. Here's the deal right here with Stephen Smith. He's been getting even more in the last year since the election last year. He's getting even more and more criticism from people because of some of his political commentary. He's getting more into politics these days. He has his own political show called Straight Shooter. He's on News Nation now with Chris Cuomo and Bill O'Reilly. So there's a lot of that coming out now. People are just really sick of Stephen Smith because he's a centrist and this and that, but he seems to lean more to the right now. He's catering more to the right, which I see that to some degree. Look, it's his political views, and he's had a right to vote who he wants to vote for. But for the record, he did vote for Kamala Harris, for the record. I don't know if you guys know this, but he did vote for Kamala Harris. But he's been critical of the left more. It's funny. Stephen A. gets the same critique that people give me in my little space, which I understand the perspective of that, but it's okay to have wider views on issues, okay? Maybe Stephen A. isn't as critical about the right and whatnot because the right will, quote unquote, cancel him. I don't know. I can relate to that to some degree, okay? But yes, he has catered more to the right in some ways, even though I believe he's not a right-wing guy, okay? But he has said he's independent. He believes that he's a strong fiscal conservative, but a social liberal. I'm kind of in that same camp to some degree, although I'll tell you right now, I've definitely, in my personal life, have moved more and more left. We're going to call that, quote-unquote, left. I hate, you know what, bro? I hate labels. I think labels suck, okay? Labels are just stupid, okay? I hate labels. But that's where a lot of the criticism of Stephen Smith comes from, is the fact that he has been more critical. He's not consistent. But here's the thing. There's a lot of jealousy, too, also, because Stephen A. Smith in that space makes more money than anybody else. He gets all the eyeballs. People are like, how does Stephen Smith get all this money? He doesn't deserve his money and this and that. Here's the thing. He's always in the news for stuff not even related to his job. Okay? He gets all the attention. You watch all the ESPN videos on First Take, or on some of his videos on his own website, or page rather, he still gets a lot of attention. That's why, okay? The market still says that Stephen Smith is still big time in this medium. So until his numbers start to plummet, he will continue getting paid. So here's the deal. If you can't stand Stephen Smith, stop watching him. Stop watching videos that have him in it, okay? It's just that simple, okay? But you guys continue feeding the beast. So that beast keeps getting fed, he keeps getting paid. Bottom line. All right. We have speaking of sports media, we have a Chris Russo crash out. So last week, Chris Russo was on his radio show, and he was talking about the government shutdown, which just ended yesterday for the record. He had a lot of words to say about the government shutdown, and he's just pissed at both sides of the aisle. Check this out.
All of you should be ashamed. every single elected official on both sides of the aisle should look themselves in the mirror how they let down the American public and made us a laughingstock around the world. This is not about winners and losers, who is right and who is wrong. This is about doing something good for the American people and say, you know what? All right, they're wrong, but I got to step up here and make sure that the air traffic controllers are there with aircraft and in towers. Not saying, well, your turn, LaGuardia, your turn, Kennedy. Newark, it's been 40 minutes. Send a plane out that's been sitting there for 15 hours. That's not the way this works. If you're the President of the United States or you're a Republican who controls everything, you do what's right for the American person, and they didn't do that. Simple. And the Democrats, you're dead wrong, too. The both of you. You all go to hell. Every single one of you. Every elected official should be embarrassed what they caused. Embarrassed. And I have this on good authority from people who were in these airports the last 3 or 4 days, including my kid, in the last 3 or 4 days. Sister-in-law. I mean, it's ridiculous what they put us through.
It really is ridiculous what they put us through. It really is. But this is politics 101 today in America. We are so polarized politically, probably ever. I still argue that the 60s is still worse. But we are pretty bad now, man. We are pretty bad. Here's the rest of this rant.
They shut it. Who knows how dangerous it was to fly with nobody in the freaking towers? I mean, my God almighty. And I got the president sitting there with freaking Vilma breaking down the 2003 Saints. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, he's referring to Donald Trump on the telecast. Remember, he was in Washington, D.C. on Sunday at the Commanders, almost said Redskins. Oh my God, Commanders Lions game, because he was swearing in new recruits for the military. Of course, he got booed to hell being there doing the confirmation on all that. But he also went on Fox. Fox did the game obviously, and he went on the telecast after in the booth with Kenny Albert and I think Jonathan Vilma. He mentioned on the game. And by the way, you want to talk about how the fact that Donald Trump doesn't watch football? I know he's not a real fan of football. He really bullshit his way through that interview. He really he didn't know what he was talking about. He's just trying to bullshit his way through the interview. But yeah, it was very uncomfortable for a lot of people. But he's President of the United States. He do what he wants.
And chest bumping Vilma when they got a 75-year-old who's been sitting in Miami International for 3 days. He's got hearing aids. He can't hear the announcements of when his JetBlue flight takes off for Bozeman. I mean, you really got to be. And I got these. Oh my God, it's sickening. Yeah, you can't even. I can't stand it. I should move the hell. I should be. Well, who Susan Lucci? Who moved? No,
Susan Lucci. Susan Lucci is a very famous, who I call the Michael Jordan of soap stars, who didn't win an Emmy until 30 years into her career. For the record, Susan Lucci, come on, Mad Dog.
Longoria moved. I should do the same thing. I'll do the show from Madrid. You can hear me every day live. I'll do it live at 9 o'clock at night. Jesus. Oh, my God. 11 in front of the hour. Returning on Mad Dog.
I love Mad Dog. Mad Dog is great. I love Mad Dog, man. I mean, look, here's the thing about Mad Dog there. He's playing both sides, honestly. But you know what? He's kind of right, though, too, at the same time. We can sit and point blame who was to blame for the shutdown. Both sides have blame here. I have opinions about who's blame more for it, but I don't even get into that. Doesn't matter. Shutdown is over finally. Flights are normal, hopefully now by then. Which now leads me to the next thing here regarding the shutdown, because now we're getting some updates now on the Jeffrey Epstein files here. So now the most recent significant update regarding the files. Here's some takeaways so far. If I can read this up real quick. So there was a release of new emails and documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate by the U.S. House Oversight Committee, which took place 2 days ago. Here are the key takeaways from this release so far. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a set of newly obtained emails from the Epstein estate. There's also allegations against Donald Trump. The emails include correspondence in which Epstein allegedly suggests that President Donald Trump was aware of his conduct regarding the victims, claiming Trump, quote, knew about the girls, unquote, and had spent hours with one of the victims of Epstein's home. Now, the White House responded by by saying they've denied the claims, calling this release a selective leak by Democrats to create a fake narrative. The Epstein estate has turned over more than 23,000 documents to the committee for review, and the full oversight committee has released a larger batch of over 20,000 pages from the estate. The release intensified pressure for the full and complete disclosure of all Epstein files, with a discharge petition in the House of Representatives securing its final signature, which is expected to force a vote on the matter soon. Separately, documents and news reports related to Epstein's ties to Prince Andrew led to King Charles formally stripping Andrew of his remaining royal titles in the past few weeks. This ongoing release of records keeps the case in the national political spotlight and continues to push for full transparency. Now, here's the thing, folks. We don't know if Donald Trump did anything wrong. We still don't know. Him being on the files does not mean shit. Okay, you be on the files. It doesn't matter. The question is that did Donald Trump engage in any bad behavior around Jeffrey Epstein? That we don't know, and we can't use these little political games as gotcha, because we kind of did that with Russiagate, and look what happened there. Okay, so look, I don't like Donald Trump. I'm not defending Donald Trump here. Okay, but let the facts come out first. Don't jump on these things. Let these things play out. And furthermore, to be real about this, also, I don't trust we're gonna get the full files anyway. Here's why: because even if they decide to release the files, you know damn well they're gonna redact the fuck out of those files. Come on now. If you trust the files are gonna be on the up and up, you're out of your damn mind. Okay? Do I have some thoughts on Trump maybe being involved with Epstein? There's a possibility of that. But I deal in facts. I deal in reality. I don't deal in this hearsay. I think he made it. No, it's not think. It's either he engaged in bad behavior or he did not. And if you can't prove that, then you got to stop. Okay? And look, this could backfire. Because if Democrats didn't indeed leak this, if that is the case, and they can't even prove it, we got a problem. Again, remember Russiagate. Remember that. All right? So, and furthermore, why do we care anymore at this point with the Epstein files? Like, yes, it should come out and it should be full transparency. I totally agree with you on that. Here's the thing, though. If you think we're going to get, at this point, going to get full transparency, as I said a little while ago, you have another thing coming. So, what I will say about Donald Trump, though, is that if he wants to get out of his thing, because here's the thing. So last night, he signs the bill to reopen the government. Someone in the media asked him about the files, and he immediately dismisses the entire media. The problem with that is now you look a little suspect by doing that. So, and you lost support also from people that voted for you last year. Largely because of this situation, you're not being transparent after you said you would be transparent. So you have to figure that out if you're Donald Trump. So, but we'll see if there's more to come out. But until we get a smoking gun, Democrats, people on the left, calm down. All right. Adin Ross, famous streamer, had some very strong comments about Kendrick Lamar. He's obviously a very close friend of local supporter Drake, which has been the central context for all of his public comments on Kendrick Lamar. He's repeatedly taken a strong stance against Kendrick Lamar, especially during and after the Drake versus Kendrick Lamar rap beef. Basically, he says that Kendrick Lamar's music is ass. Ross has repeatedly stated that Kendrick Lamar's music is catalog are horrible and basically fucking ass, claiming that he is not a good artist. He specifically claimed that nobody listens to Mr. Morale or GNX. He also claims that Ross claimed that in recent beef that Drake is the only thing that brought renewed attention to Lamar, suggesting Drake saved his miraculous career. He has consistently argued that Drake is the superior artist, citing Drake's longevity and willingness to collaborate and feature other rappers. Ross claims Lamar does nothing for rap and does nothing for any other rappers. Ross has made controversial and unsubstantiated allegations against Lamar, which led to a fiery confrontation on a live stream with music executives Whack 100, who defended Lamar and challenged Ross to back up his claims. Due to his loyalty to Drake, Ross has publicly banned Kendrick Lamar's music from being played on his streams and at his events, such as his recent brand risk boxing event. Ross famously called LeBron James a piece of shit human after James was seen dancing to Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, due to James' long-standing friendship with Drake. First off, Adin Ross, the only reason I didn't even know who he is because he had Donald Trump on his stream or podcast last year, so I can give 3 fucks about Adin Ross personally. He sounds like a tool. Number 2, you don't know hip hop. Number 1, because Kendrick Lamar's been around for a while. Kendrick Lamar has been in our conscious now for at least 12 years, more than that actually. Okay, I've known about Kendrick Lamar since 2009, 2010. So to sit there and say that Drake saved him, look, I've always defended the fact that Drake is bigger, and Drake has been the biggest up to like probably a year ago, was the biggest hip hop star in the genre. I've always defended that claim rather. But the reality too also is that Kendrick Lamar was still pretty big himself. So just because you, Adin Ross, don't like his music, doesn't mean it's not good. It just means you have bad taste. Okay? Does Drake have a couple good songs? Yeah, I'm not a fan of Drake, but I understand the impact. Okay? But to sit there and say that his music is ass, that's a personal opinion. Okay? That's personal opinion. You may have shit taste. In fact, based on what I'm hearing about you, you do have shit taste. Okay? And then, yeah, Drake's your boy, so I get it. You're gonna defend the guy. I get it. But then you make accusations that you can't even substantiate. On top of that, it makes you a soft ass. So you're pathetic. I'm sorry. And that's about Drake and more about you. So just saying. Adin Ross, I don't know who you are. And apparently now he was all on the Trump train until like a month ago. Now he's like off the Trump train now. He's pathetic, So, by the way, we are now at the end of pennies. Now, the phrase "end of pennies" refers to the U.S. government ceasing production of the 1-cent coin, which is motivated by the fact that it costs significantly more to manufacture than it's worth. But production has now officially ended as of Wednesday this week. The U.S. Mint ended production of a circulating penny on Wednesday. The reason why is economic. It was costing the U.S. government almost 4 cents to produce a single 1-cent coin, resulting in millions of dollars in losses annually. Existing pennies remain legal tender and can still be used in transactions. They are not being recalled or instantly removed from circulation. As new pennies no longer enter circulation, the coins will gradually become less common. It is expected that businesses will begin rounding cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents, or nearest nickel rather, through electronic, and card payments will still be for the exact amount. This move follows other countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, which has already phased out the lowest denomination coins. This is a crazy story, man, actually. And I wonder, will we see changes with physical money in the pricing? So, for example, if something is like $2.99, for example, will it stay $2.99? Or will it just round up $3? It's a good question, right? But is it something that I had no idea that the production of pennies was actually that much, which surprises me that they didn't do anything sooner. This is actually saving money to the government. So I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner because let's be real here. We've been going. Most people don't carry cash anymore. I don't carry a lot of cash like I used to, which I probably should. But no one carries change anymore, for the record. And no one's carrying pennies anymore, for the record. So surprised this move wasn't done earlier. It really does shock me with that. I'm really curious in 10 years how currency is going to be in this country. I'm really curious. I'm really curious to see how currency will be in this country. I mean, like I said, we're not doing anything that's new. Like Canada's doing it, Australia's doing it, New Zealand, we phased it out. So I'm really curious how that would be in the years to come. How it will look in the years to come, and how prices on goods if it will change at all. Really curious about that. All right, before we get out of here, I want to play a couple clips here in tribute to our starting quarterback for the New York Giants this week, Jameis Winston, who will be starting this week against the Green Bay Packers due to Jackson Dart's injury, concussion protocol, rather. Jameis Winston, love the kid. Again, I've spoken on this on the podcast already in the past about his turnaround. What a turnaround in perception we've seen here. So James got announced he's going to be the starter this week against Green Bay. Here's his presser from this early in the week after the announcement.
I want fans to know that I'm going to do my best. Obviously I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to execute, have a surgical execution, and just play ball, man. Like, this is something I've been doing since I've been 4 years old, and I just get to do it in the greatest city in the world. I'm gonna be saying it with my son. It's the greatest city in the world. Yeah, that's a Hamilton reference if y'all don't know. Yeah, 10-year reunion.
He referenced Hamilton. I love Hamilton, for the record. My wife and I are big fans of Hamilton. We actually saw we obviously saw the original, but we also saw the 10th anniversary at the theaters, which we left early. Long story about that one. Again, Jameis is he's an American treasure. So I decided to, as a result, put together. Well, I got this clip from NFL.com. Here's an entire compilation of what is titled "Jameis Winston Core." Check this out.
You can knick-knack, this, that, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. Man, I just rhymed. Oh my, one thing my trainer, he told me, he said, what did he say? He just told us to be prepared. The horse is prepared for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. Our body is so symmetrical. You got your wrists, and then what are your wrists on the bottom half? Your ankles. You got your shoulders up top. What are your shoulders? Your hips. You know what I'm saying? You got your elbows. What are your elbows? Your knees, right? I just got off Amazon, and I'm probably about to go and order a dove off Amazon. It's going to get here to my house by 9 o'clock tonight. My passion was always football. Being taken away from the game, I didn't realize that my passion was playing football.
Uh-oh.
Let's go. That's a W. That's E1.
All right, you look at the final 5 weeks, the bye, and then a date with Indianapolis. That's a big one. The Colts, after they got that 2-point conversion late at New England to win by 1 there, they really...
Here's the thing, too, also I was so pissed about the game against Chicago on Sunday, was that when they brought in Russell Wilson after Dart's concussion, Russell Wilson looked lost. And you guys know I am a massive Russell Wilson fan. But he looked so lost out there. Like he didn't want to make a mistake at all. And I remember saying after the first throw, like, just bring in Jameis. You know why? He might throw a pick. He might not. But guess what? He has no fear of throwing the ball down the field. He has no fear. And I'd rather have a guy that's willing to play and just do the thing. And if he makes a mistake, so be it. I'll live with that. With Russell Wilson in that game on Sunday, the Giants were playing not to lose. Jameis Winston at least give me a chance to hold that lead and stretch the field. Okay? And I'll be honest with you. I mean, that could be another reason why Brian Daboll got fired. Honestly. Bad decision after bad decision. From not firing Shane Bowen weeks ago to, running 20 RPOs for Dart. And, now this situation. I don't know. Jameis, I really hope Jameis is here for the long haul. I hope they sign him again as a backup, as official backup. He's a great locker room kid. Again, I love seeing the turnaround here of his life here. I remember this guy was so maligned. I look, I'm a Florida State fan, so my last time won the national title, he was our quarterback. So I do have some loyalty to James to some degree because of my college football preference. But to see the turnaround, he's no longer being talked about talking about crab legs anymore and about him stealing and him being some malcontent, if you will. He's a very good kid. He's grown up. He's a nice family. It's funny thing. The funny thing about Jameis Winston, is that you never hear anything bad about him from any teammates, old or new, old or current. You never hear any bad thing. You don't say anything bad about Jameis Winston. He's a great kid, great teammate, great leader. Every time. Even Drew Brees said that. Okay, so I'm happy for the kid. I hope he does well. Look, this go anywhere. Look, the Giants win on Sunday wouldn't surprise me because Jameis Winston could easily throw for 4 touchdowns, but also have 4 interceptions. That is what we call the Jameis Winston experience. But I'm willing to write 2-8 right now with Dart out, and I'm willing to experience that right now. Under Mike Kafka as interim head coach of the team. So Looking forward to watching that game on Sunday, though I think Green Bay will still win the game. So anyway, that's it for me on this Friday podcast. Recording once again, November 13th, 2025. I am on X at EJ Christian 7. Earnestly Podcast goes all podcast catchers, of course, especially on the video side. The YouTube page at Earnestly Pod on YouTube. On TikTok at Earnestly Pod as well, too. Until next week, we will get back to some more episodes next week, and we will talk to you guys soon. God bless y'all. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and until then.